Teaching and learning with Mr. Miller. Hey, welcome to another episode of Teaching and Learning with Mr. Miller. Today we're going to be following on with what we did last time, and we're going to be building an audio-visual sequence in Adobe Premiere. So the last video was about getting this project set up, getting the sequence set up and importing assets, and just getting it all kind of set up, and also some basic editing as well, how to actually use the tools here and how to use the sequence timeline. If you haven't watched that video, you might want to go back and look at that one. Because this one is going to be leading on from it quite nicely. So let's dive straight into this. As you can see, I've got a couple of my assets there, a couple of my pieces of footage on the video layers. Don't need that. And I've also got my audio there as well. Now, I have actually looked through my audio, and one thing that I'm not too keen on is this intro here, which kind of goes... Now that's not too bad, but if you can look here, you can actually see the audio is going to change right around there. So I'm just going to go there, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the plus keys, the plus and minus keys on my keyboard just to zoom in, and you can see it's just going to kick in just there. So if I zoom in as much as I possibly can, so I'm pressing plus as much as I can there. If I just move that right there, now that's the closest I'm going to get. If I go there, I've already too far, so I'm going to go to the last place I can. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my razor tool, which is C on the keyboard. Then I'm going to use my selection tool, and I'm just going to delete that. Now, if I zoom out, and if I go to the beginning, what I've got is the very first thing should be, if I press play or spacebar. Okay, so that's where it jumps in. Okay, I kind of like the idea of that. I think that's what I'm going to start with. So, now what I'm going to do is using that footage that I brought in last time. I know I've used the first two here. Let's just bring in the rest of it. Now what I'm going to do is I'm not even going to look at it because I don't really care what this whole thing looks like. Now you would have looked through your footage, but to be honest, you should have filmed your footage, so you're probably going to know what it looks like. But I'm just doing this for demonstration purposes. What I'm going to do is by using that bracket just over the end there. Let's zoom in again. I'm just going to hover over the edge just because I know that my first ones are 10 seconds long. So I know that this is going to be 10 seconds if I just make it that. So I'm going to make every single clip 10 seconds. Right, have I got some more there? Yeah, I do. I've got two more as well. Okay, so let's just drop it all on there. Remember, I can't drop it there, because if I drop it there, it overrides the audio, so you don't want to do that. So let's drop it on video 2. And then right-click and go to unlink. That'll unlink the audio and the visual. And there we go, and let's do that again with the last one. Actually, I've forgotten to make that the same size as the others. So let's shorten that. Now, if you find that your footage is moving around in the ways that you don't want to move it, it might be because you've put it on snap there. So you could turn snap off. Just so you know, that might cause problems later, but that might be the reason why. I'm going to keep my snap on because it works well for me. Oh. Just overridden that, don't want to do that. So I'm just going to press Control Z or Command Z. Oh look, that last bit there isn't even 10 seconds long. Okay, that's not a problem. I don't need it to be, I guess. Okay, and what I've got there now is I've got my entire sequence. Now this audio clip is 2 minutes 46 it looks like, or 2 minutes 45. Now I don't want it to be like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go here and I'm just going to press C for my razor tool. I'm going to chop it there. I'm going to click there, and I'm going to delete by pressing delete on the keyboard. Now just be aware, if you ever did want to get that back, you can always just extend it. It's always there. It's just you're choosing not to use it on your timeline. So what we've got now is we've got the entire sequence. And you can see some of this footage. In fact, I don't think I've done it with all of it. Now this first bit of footage, if you remember rightly, was 4K when I right-clicked on it. Went to properties, you can see that it's 4K or close enough, as you can see there. That second clip I can also tell, because if I go to preview over here by double clicking on it, you can see that looks quite different. Reason being is because this is probably also 4K. So let's have a look at that second clip. Yep, that is as well. So what I need to do is I need to right click and I need to go to scale to frame size. There we go, so that gets that right. What about that third one? I haven't even checked that yet. Let's have a look at this one. Yep, you know what? I think that's probably going to be 4K as well. No, it's not. It's 1080. Okay, so that means if I was to right-click and go to scale to frame size here, nothing's going to happen because it's already 1080 and I'm already editing in 1080. Right then, next one. Let's have a look when it's loading up. Right, let's see what that looks like. Okay, I'm not too sure. I think this one might be 4K. Let's have a look. Oh, property's gone way past overnight. There we go. Yep, that's 4K as well. So if I right-click on that one and go to scale to frame size, there we go. That looks better. Now this last one is quite unusual. Now I don't know why it looks like that. It looks like, however it was filmed it looks like it was filmed in portrait and not in landscape. It's a little bit unusual. So let's have a double click on that. Yeah, so the person who filmed this has filmed this in portrait mode and not in landscape. That's quite an unusual thing to do, by the way, because your eyes, as I'm sure you're aware, go horizontally across your face. You've got one eye that has a field of vision like a square, and then you've got another eye to the right of it that has the field of vision like a square. You put two squares together, you've got a rectangle. That's why we look at it in rectangular vision, okay? Because that's how our eyes are. Your eyes, I don't know, maybe you do. I don't want to judge you if they do work like this, but your eyes probably don't go horizontally on your face. So what that means is we've got an issue where we can't use this clip. Now, you could, if you wanted to, just scale to frame size and you're going to see what it's going to look like. Okay, now it looks like a wedding video that your auntie's made. You know, it just doesn't have that feeling of professionalism. So what you can do now is you can manually do this, and we're going to punch in, which means we're going to crop, and we're going to lose quite a lot of it, okay? We're going to go like this, and I'm just going to zoom in until I get rid of it, okay? Now this is a bad thing to do. Reason being is because this footage is 1080 and this sequence is 1080, so it should have matched perfectly. But now that I've just zoomed in by 316%, what that means is this is going to look pixelated. Hopefully my audience won't know, because I'm probably editing for YouTube. They're probably going to be looking at this on a phone, a tablet, maybe a TV. But if I was going to show this in the cinema, they would notice. They would notice where it went from this beautiful 4K clip to this 1080 clip, which has been punched in 300%. So it's not going to look fantastic. But hey ho, it's what we got, isn't it? The only way to really get rid of that is to make sure that you filmed it properly, and I will be doing tutorials on that as well. Now you've also got positions here, so you can change it if you need to. So if you don't like that, you can, you know, maybe I want to get a little bit of that in there as well. Maybe I can try and follow the rule of thirds a little bit and have, you know, maybe not actually. I don't know. I don't really need that much of the sky. Let's try and center that center line, and I've kind of got like 1, 2, 3 sections. That looks a little bit prettier. Right, saving that, and there we go. There is our first sequence there, okay? It's not fantastic, and it's basically just going to be showing, you know, I'm not going to play that while I'm doing this, and it's going to show just these clips here, you know, it's going to look a bit like a travel video. If I was using this for coursework, I probably wouldn't get a high grade for it because there's absolutely no narrative being told. It's as beautiful as the shots are, it doesn't really give me anything. But one thing that I have got is I'm going to play the music, and I just want you to look over here at your sound scopes, okay? Now you can see it's going into green, yellow, amber, and then it's going into the red as well. I would argue that's probably a bit too loud. Maybe it's not loud for a music track, but it's definitely loud for this piece of audio visual that I'm creating. I really want it to be hovering in the green, going into yellow maybe, and maybe even popping into the orange if it needs to, but definitely doesn't need to be going any higher. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to right-click on my audio, and I'm going to go to Audio Gain. Now, gain is very much like volume. It's not the same as volume, but it's, for the sake of argument, we're going to say it is the same as volume. Someone once told me that the gain and volume is almost like the car engine. You know, the gain is the power of the engine, and the volume is how far you push your foot down in the accelerator. So gain is more like the power behind it. Now, it's done by decibels there. I'm going to change this down by 5. And let's just see how that works. And the second I do that, you can see it's starting to log how much I'm doing it by. Now let's press play. Right, that's worked. To be honest though, maybe I didn't want 5. Maybe I wanted I think 3 might have been better. So let's go. Now you can see it's already still -5. So now if I do 2, it's going to go to -3, okay? A little bit of arithmetic for you there. Don't worry, it's not tough stuff. You can handle it, I'm sure. Now let's see what it looks like. Yeah, I'm happy with that. Now I'm not using the volume on my computer screen, obviously. You know, I'm not putting headphones in and turning the headphones up and down, okay? Because otherwise I'm not actually amending the file. When this goes onto YouTube, which is probably what we're going to be doing with our videos, we want to make sure that it is at a decent volume. Now one way you could do that is play a YouTube video, then go back onto your screen and play yours and see if they kind of match up a little bit. But for the sake of argument, I think it's probably best that you use the scopes there. Right, so I've got this now, my short little sequence with an audio track behind it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to do transitions now. These are very simple and they are just here. We've got audio effects and video effects. We're not going to look at those today. Okay, there's nothing really that we need to use for those. Experiment with them if you want to, but I don't really want to talk about those yet. What we're going to be doing is we're going to be looking at audio and visual transitions. So I'm going to go on to video transitions and I've got loads of things there. Play around with them if you want to. I don't use any of these in any way except for dissolve, page peel. Oh man, if you really want to make it look like a cheesy wedding video, yeah, go for page peel. If you do though, don't let me see it. What I'm going to do though is I'm going to go for cross dissolve, and you've got loads of different dissolves there. Dip to black means that it's going to go from this into black. Dip to white means it's going to go from this into white. But I'm going to use just a cross dissolve. What that means is it's going to change this first shot into the second shot, like it does. But instead of just going from one and cutting hard to the next one, what it's going to do is it's going to slowly turn into it, okay, like an overlay. So I'm just going to click that and I'm going to drag it onto the middle. Tell you what, let's undo that. Let's just zoom in a little bit so you can see what I'm doing. So I'm going to click and I'm going to drag that, and you can see it's going onto the beginning of this clip. Now what I can do is I can extend this as well. I can make it a slow fade. So it's now going to go like this. And it's going to start dissolving right when it hits there. That kind of works. I'm going to use that. I'm going to put that at the beginning of every single one. Okay? Now I don't mind doing this because this is kind of like a bit of a dreamy beach, you know, music video type thing. It's probably going to work. But just be aware that a dissolve connotes something to the audience. Usually connotes something like a dream sequence. So if you're not trying to connote that, don't use it. I've seen normal shot reverse shot sequences that have been edited with a dissolve, and it's really odd because it makes it look like a dream sequence. Just because you can do these cross dissolves doesn't mean you need to. So keep that in mind. Now I'm being really lazy with this, by the way, so you know you would obviously spend a bit more time actually watching through it. Now if I wanted it to fade to black at the very end, I could use this dip to black, but to be honest, I'm just going to use the cross dissolve like I've always been doing. Reason being is because it's black at the end there, there's nothing there, so it is going to just naturally dip to black. Okay, now I'm not really liking the way that it ends there so much. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to extend my audio a little bit, and I'm going to go to Audio Transitions, Crossfade, which is the only one I've got. We're going to go to Constant Power there, okay? It's the one with the box around it, you know, the blue box. And I'm just going to drag it, and I'm going to drag it onto the end, okay? And I'm going to extend that, and I'm going to make them both start at the same time. So what's going to happen now is the video is going to fade out, but the audio is going to fade out a little bit later. Okay, that's a little bit more professional. I mean, it still doesn't look fantastic, but it kind of works. Right, zoom in all the way out. Right, so there's my sequence. Now, one thing I also want to do is I want to start putting text into it. I want to be a bit careful with it there. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add some text there. I'm going to just put something saying, you know what, should have actually done that a little bit slower just so you can see how I did that. So what I did to it was I just grabbed the type tool and I just dropped it there. My recommendation would be don't draw a marquee, okay? That doesn't work very well, okay? That's a really bad way of doing it, okay? Instead, what you want to do, and I've got loads of these tools now, let's just delete that and start again, okay? So just grab your type tool and then just drop it wherever you want to, keeping in mind that you can always change it later, and then just write whatever you need to. I'm going to write life a beach. That kind of works, doesn't it? Now I've got my editing tool up here as well. Okay, I can change whatever it is. I can change I can center it if I want to. Let's highlight the whole thing. Tell you what, let's move it into the center. Let's change that typeface. Let's go to, you can see what these look like. I want it to be something kind of, oh man, some of these typefaces and fonts are awful. Papyrus, don't ever use it, don't do it. What if they've just got a classic Helvetica? That's a nice one, isn't it? They do. What's that one there? Let's just go for Helvetica. Okay. Tip for you guys, keep it simple. Don't try and make it look really fancy. Using a fancy font doesn't make it look fancy. It makes it look cheap. Okay, so I'm just going to put that there. Life's a beach. There we go. And the second I did that, as you can see, I've got my title there, okay? So my title has just dropped down. It's not going to be my assets. If you do want it to be, you can go to File, New, and Legacy Title, which will do that a little bit more comprehensively, but this is just a fine way of working. Now, if I was to put that on top, you can see what's going to happen is it's going to say Life's a Beach over my, my thing, which I kind of like the idea of, but I don't need that. I'm just going to drag that to the beginning. Right then, let's see, how long was that? Just short of 5 seconds, that's weird. I'll tell you what, I want that to be 5 seconds, okay? And there we go. What I'm going to do there is I'm going to put that at the beginning. I'm going to grab everything. I'm going to press A, which means I'm going to get my track selection forward tool. Click on that. Okay, now I've got all of that selected. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to unhighlight it and I'm going to drag my audio a little bit longer, okay? Because you remember we had that beginning of it as well. So it kind of works like this now. And because I lined up my first clip with the beat there, that transition works really well. Okay, it cuts right on the beat. Yeah, there we go. I'm happy with that. Although the start of it sounds a bit like just kind of drops in, doesn't it? What I could do though is I could put an audio transition on it. And I could just drop that at the front there. Let's zoom in a little bit, and I'm going to slowly, gradually build that up until it does kick in, just before there. Okay, let's have a look now. That works better. Okay, I'll tell you what, I'm also going to put a video transition cross dissolve on the beginning here. I'm going to have it do the same as well there. So it actually, instead of it being up there for 5 seconds, it's for over 5 seconds, it's just going to fade in, and then, there we go, I'm happy with that. That looks relatively decent with what we've got. Okay, there you go, ladies and gents. What we have done there is we have built an audio-visual segment there. Okay, we've added transitions, we've amended the volume, the audio gain there. We've added a title. We've created a very basic sequence now with everything that we need. What we're going to be doing in the next class is we're going to be looking at color correction and color grading. We're going to be getting this looking as fantastic as it does, and we're going to be trying to make it look a little bit more fantastic. In fact, this would be a better clip to show you there, wouldn't it? We're going to be getting this and making this look a little bit more professional like the previous clips. Thanks, guys. See you next time.